Oh, welcome to another episode of Talking with Tubers. It's your boy Chris Johnson here, joining you from my quarantine compound bunker, aka my apartment. And this episode is something a little bit different, which I know is going to be hard to believe. It's only been 3 episodes. Technically, everything's been a little bit different, but we're going to talk with 2 guys who are kind of behind the scenes. They're working in the industry, not exactly what you would think of when you think of YouTubers, but they do create content and they are key parts and key players in this game. I don't actually, we get into the story about how we kind of met and got to know these guys and just what they do. So with all that being said, this one's a little bit different because we're under quarantine, obviously. So roll with me on the format. But, just like always, if you guys dig this, please let me know down in the comments. You can find us on Spotify for sure, 100%. I'm having some troubles getting up on the other platforms. They have issues. And guess what? Customer service isn't exactly great at the moment. So with that being said, here's another episode of Talking with Tubers. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know if there's anybody specifically you want me to try to reach out to and talk to next, but I'm really digging it. I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying the format, and I hope that you actually find it entertaining and educational, because one of the reasons why I wanted to do a podcast like this was so that people could have the tools to essentially understand just how the industry works a little bit and maybe inspire you to make that next step, or at least be interested in it. I mean, we're all here on YouTube for a reason, so that's all. Bye. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Oh no.
Octopus.
All right, whatever. I'll link that. All right, cool. So at this point, I'm sure everybody's heard the intro. I'll also leave that little octopus part in there for you. Hey, it's Talking with Tubers, and we are going to be doing a good old quarantine compilation.
Yeah.
Woo! So, I've already talked about the guest in the intro. I'm going to let them introduce themselves here properly, but I just want to give you guys a quick rundown. Everybody here, I believe, is looking at a camera where they're all talking to each other here. Let me do a little scream so I can grab that. But we're not, so when I look up here, I'm looking at y'all. When I look down here, I'm talking to them. I'm going to be mostly talking to them. So just be used to it. It's going to be weird, all right? But you're going to get the information the same. And now, before we begin, Marquette is going to walk into this door for some reason, so you picked a terrible time.
Hi, Marquette.
Tell Marquette I got good prices on my turnips.
Nahid's got good prices on turnips.
158.
Yep, 158. Guys, the stock market is very important.
I'm not, no joke,
right.
for real.
Okay, and now here we go. So, Luis and Eric, would you guys please tell everybody who you are and tell them a little bit about yourselves?
I'm Eric. I'm also known as Nerd Chronic on social media and YouTube and kind of all the general internet space, along with my good friend and longtime partner, Luis Lopez here, audio extraordinaire. I'm a video editor. I've been video editing for about 15 years now. I always say 10. I've just been that long. And Lewis, I've known Lewis since we were kids, and we've been working together here in LA since we're 5 years old, man. We've been working together here in LA since I was in college, like about my third year in college, living out here. And our work now is like I work with reactors and other YouTube kind of personalities in their work, kind of helping with their business and their post-production needs. And Lewis helps in that aspect too. Whenever we need audio purposes done, he's the guy to go to for sure. And that's kind of the broad overview of what we do here.
All right, nice. And so before we start to dive into like everybody else, so like what is Nerd Chronic? I know that you're Nerd Chronic, but like your channel specifically, like what is it? Like on that front. Also, I see you on Twitter. You have a nice design and all that. So like, are you a channel? What are you?
The name started out as a podcast that I did with a couple friends of mine who we're still close with. It's just that over time we live far apart. LA is like a pain in the butt to drive through, and we can all meet up as frequently as we used to when we first started. And I think what happened was that I started taking over a little bit in the processes of like producing the podcast, and so I would do it with Luis here primarily, and we would do like kind of weekly news recaps and like also reviews of movies and stuff like that, and the guys would come join when they could. And I took over the brand on my own for a little while, And that I use that kind of to launch myself into my work with YouTubers, kind of like you guys and Iman Snow and other people. And I was able to kind of use that as like a persona, because I didn't have a social media presence before this. Like I didn't have anything for myself. So I was just kind of the brand itself, and I kind of like integrated myself with the name Nerd Chronic. And then Luis, in that aspect, he was always our audio engineer from day one, and I kind of used him as like our means to make it sound good, make us look good, and we've always been on the same page of being kind of this brand that can reach out and help people with what they needed to kind of boost their creativity, because that's what we've always been about. Like as far as success and money and business, all that stuff goes, like that's great, but our thing was we wanted to really work with people to kind of accelerate what they could do and with what they wanted to do. And it was primarily just a way for us to use that platform to reach out to people and with a singular name, so they know where to go with like Nerd Chronic. That can be writing, video editing, audio engineering, and so on. And we have like a good circle of friends who kind of fall into this loop as well.
Okay. See, that's awesome. So do you see yourself as like a YouTube like support?
Yes.
Like not group, but like I don't know, like when you guys see a channel, you're like, oh man, I could kind of see where they're going. If we jump in and help them out, we can push them to that next level.
Exactly.
Quicker.
Yep.
Oh yeah. All right. I like that. I like that for an intro. And how long have you specifically been doing like the YouTube part?
The YouTube part, I've been doing it for about since I want to say like early 2018-ish. So this started out as a podcast, an audio podcast, which was just us doing movie reviews and weekly recaps and stuff like that. And then I got involved first with Iman Snow. That was the first person who I kind of reached out to and started working with. Before that was my two friends of mine, Robert and Vanessa from Late to the Party, who are really great people, and they were the first people to come on our podcast and as an interview and just kind of like talk about the craft and like the space and their platform and stuff like that. And I kind of hit it off with them. And it's funny, through them I found the Movie Trivia Schmodown, which is a YouTube movie trivia based game show. It's more like an esport at this point. There's like a movie trivia league where people sit down one-on-one or in teams and they answer movie trivia questions in a competition-based format. It's styled off of UFC and WWE. So there's like characters and like championships and storylines and all these different things that kind of put together. And I work for them now as their full-time editor. I'm the full-time editor for the show. And it's around when that was going on, I also found Iman and I started working for her. I started working for Akasan a little bit and the Real Rejects, and it's been about since late 2018, I'd say. So it's been about like a year and a half, or going on 2 years now, working with them as a video editor. And then in that space, I also would bring Luis in for things that we need, helping Iman set up her audio and her mics and kind of sweeten their audio when they had issues. And for the Schmodown, we had a lot of audio issues going on to the point where now Luis is coming into the show as our audio engineer, our go-to guy for a lot of things that we need.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So Serge and Naheed, do you guys have anything you want to ask?
Which one's the nerd and which one's the chronic?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I get you guys came with the name. I've always wondered, how did you, what does Nerd Chronic even stand for?
That's a good question. Yeah.
We all know what chronic stands for, but what's the nerd part?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I get asked this question a lot. It's kind of our motto. It's like a Nerd Chronic. It has nothing to do with weed.
okay, guys.
The number one question.
Yeah, that's it.
I like it.
It's a funny thing. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
No, it's all right. But it is a funny thing though, because we're here in LA. Obviously, that's the assumption. It's a natural assumption, and it's kind of we're around that all the time. No, I don't smoke, and Luis doesn't smoke, but our friends did, and I was never part of the name. But what happened was that me and my friend Cam, who was kind of like the co-founder of this whole thing, we were just sitting down one day looking for names, for names for the podcast, and we're like, something that's easy, like nerd something, that's easy enough, even though it's very almost cliche, we're like, it's a very easy identifier. So nerd, geek, whatever, and we just ran through lists of names that were available on all platforms, all social media, the domains are free and the subreddit was free. The usernames were free, and so we found Nerd Chronic, which was the one that was free across all platforms. And so that's what we kind of stuck with. So that was more like a business branding thing, the more than a full on creative thing. It was just it was what worked for us.
I kind of like it because, I mean, obviously you work with a lot of reactors, the schmo down. It's nerdy things, if you will.
Yeah.
And you are elevating the content further. You're like the sort of the backbone of it. So Nerd Chronic does kind of, it makes sense to me in that way. Yeah. So
and
Luis,
I think sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna ask him how he got involved and where'd you get your audio experience from, or did you go to school for it? Was it always what you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I mean, to go further back, I've been a musician since I was like 9 years old. So I've always been involved with music. I moved out to LA as soon as I graduated high school, and I tried going to audio engineering school. That was a school I had in mind to going out here. I went to school, and it was a little hard at first financially. So I got myself stabilized financially out here first, like not living paycheck to paycheck, and eventually went to school. That was about like 6 years ago now. So I've been engineering. I have a full certification in audio engineering, post-production, live sound, and music production. So I basically learned everything I could about audio from the ground up. And I've actually worked in any branch of audio basically at this point. But my main thing now that I'm really more into is just being a sound designer and working more with like music production and post-production. So it, like Eric said, with Nerd Chronic, he started doing this stuff with like helping out YouTubers and helping them like get their content elevated. I've always had that same idea as well. I work a lot with a lot of independent filmmakers and help them make their productions better, because the biggest issue right now is that there's a lot of people, like, just audio just kind of gets thrown to the wayside. People don't realize how important it is for their content. So
it makes or breaks the professional quality.
I've been able to bring that standard because I am like fully professionally trained. I've worked on features and everything like that, so I'm able to bring that level to a more like affordable price, and I've always wanted to do that in a production company as well. So that's nice. Like kind of like where me and Eric have this same ground that we're trying to work on.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
I'd like to point out that you guys were able to help us out with some audio questions I had a while back about treating our studio with sound foam and kind of helping to get rid of that echo, which is clutch AF.
Yeah, Luis. I was going to say, from like, I remember when the first time I met you and you guys took us out to good old Korean food. That was phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah, Korean barbecue.
One day.
I just remember when we were talking how much you stress the amount how audio was important, and like from then on, I went to the Normies like the next day. I was like, guys, I went on Nerd Chronic. His audio guy is telling me that our audio is shit. You need to work on it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Trust me, man. Like I went in, I started talking, and we've made some changes because of your recommendations as well.
It's always so weird for me because I don't like to tell people like their audios are bad. Like I it feels like it's negative a lot of times. But like I recently, like when I talked to the guys at Schmodown and everything, they had some issues as well, and it's just. A lot of it is just that things that maybe generally people don't realize or don't even think about. It's more harder for me from the fact that I'm trained that I can hear people's echoes in their videos. I can hear a lot of stuff, and I'm always just like, man, if they could just like fix these couple things, it would be really, really cool.
I completely understand. I wanted to follow up, man. So like, I also know you talked about your musical production, and I know that you go by the production name Habits. How's that been, man? What's going on with that?
Yeah.
And where can we hear some of that music?
So I've worked on a few things for other artists, independent artists, anything too major. Unfortunately, I still have this thing about me where I'm just like hoarding everything I make. I'm working on finally like releasing something this year under my actual name. But when it comes to anything like music production, anything like that, I do go under the name Habits. It's a name I've had for a very long time that I own, and you won't basically find anything else on the internet under that name unless it's me.
Nice.
So there's not too much content out there other than like me, being an engineer on someone's project or being a mixing engineer on someone else's project. Nothing yet. under my name.
I mean,
but
I've seen some of your videos you post on Twitter, man. Why are you hoarding all that stuff for, bro? It's good. I see your 808s.
Yeah, you gotta release
You gotta
that.
release that, man. I heard.
man.
Yeah.
I've been there.
You
Been there.
Release the Habits cut, man.
Just all I can say, all I have to say, I follow you, and I've had listened to some of your stuff your post production stuff, like your videos. It's pretty sweet stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because Nahid, I mean, I know you're a big EDM fan, you know. So
Yeah.
like this guy over here, like he knows all about it. So when we went to Cream Barbecue, you guys were riffing like, pretty well on that stuff.
Oh yeah, man. Trust me. When I was like, what? And then like I saw his workings, and I was like, all right, fam knows what's up. So just wanted to, that's what's up.
Yeah.
See, Nahid's got a little bit of music he needs to release too. So I think this is gonna be the year for it. Come on, bro.
Yeah, now's the
There you go,
time.
man. We can Nahid, if you want, we can send some tracks or some stems over to each other and tweak them. And,
Bro, I wouldn't even know what to do with half of them, but I'll see what you got.
STEM party. So, all right. I like it, and we're gonna be getting into. I want to talk about this is as we move on. I don't know why I do this every single podcast where I'm like, this is what we're gonna talk about in the future, but I'm gonna ask another one-off question. In the future, we're gonna be asking a little bit more about the Schmodown and Akasan and Aman and like how you kind of got into this like reactor magical glass of wine has appeared reactor like universe. But before we get to that, I did want to say, Luis, weren't you currently, or the last time I saw you, I think, working with like anime dubs or something along those lines? Is that something you could talk about?
Yeah, I actually I was working at a studio out in Glendale, California, and specifically was doing anime dubs for a few things. One I don't think I'm allowed to say yet, but the other one was one that was actually on Toonami, which is called Lupin the Third, which is like a really
I know Lupin the
it's
Third.
like a really older anime for what it is. I had no idea what it was when I first started on it, but I really got into it working on the project, and it's actually a pretty cool series.
That's pretty dope, man. Lupin the Third is like Lupe Fiasco mentions it in a couple of his raps. It's like some old school shit I happened to see forever ago. I don't know how or when or why I saw it, but I saw a couple of episodes. It was fucking tight. I didn't look at that, man.
Yeah, it was. I did the whole English stuff for that one, and then I think they're doing a CGI one now that got announced online. So
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of that
maybe
stuff.
they'll pick me up if Wildmax is listening over there.
Awesome.
Pick me up again for the next one, but.
They're doing a lot of that stuff right now, where they're doing like a lot of CGI of the animes. They're like Saint Seiya just came out. That was like a whole 3D, like done over of that. It's pretty sick, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, he in the years that we've been here in LA, he has worked with a lot of like pretty big productions, like a lot of like really great, like an eclectic resume at this point.
It's always weird. It's always been kind of stumbled into them.
Yeah.
They always end up being pretty big things. So yeah, I've done.
So who's the biggest? I mean, people are gonna be wondering.
I don't know, man. It's so hard.
I mean,
I'll tell you my favorite celebrity I've ever worked
how about
with
that?
is like Jack Black. Hands down, he's like hilarious, awesome.
Okay. You mean
Tenaciously.
Jablinski's game?
Jablinski.
We did an interview with him for like a hologram company that we were working with, and
Excuse me, a hologram company?
Yeah, that's a whole big story. We can get into that too if you want, but it's a very big story.
yeah, me and Eric worked for a hologram company out here in LA for a while, and we worked with, at the time, that company was like calling up every celebrity contact that any of the salespeople knew to try to like get rights and stuff like that and make contact with them. So that's where we worked with a lot of pretty decently sized names. And yeah, Jack Black was just really cool. He was really funny. He did not give me any sort of vibe of like he's a celebrity or something, which was kind of crazy because he's just so
that's kind of awesome,
normal, you know.
That's like the vibe you get from him, like just watching him, and I'm glad that like that he follows through on
Yeah,
that, man. Plus, he's like, out of all the celebrities that have become YouTubers, I think he's like legitimately doing it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like for him, he's just like, I'm a celebrity, look at me. He's like, no, I'm a fucking weirdo, and I'm here with the rest of you weirdos because like this is where I belong.
Yeah,
Like,
compared him to Will Smith. Like, I know Will Smith's YouTube channel
Yes,
is
that's
taken off
exactly
too,
what I
but
was
yeah,
thinking.
Jablinski
Yeah, he's
seems to be more in touch with what the YouTube culture is exactly.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to ask Luis real quick, and you too, Eric, is you guys got into this YouTube bubble now. What are some YouTubers you guys follow? And I don't know, who are some of your favorites? Maybe small or big channels we don't know.
These guys named the Normies.
No. Bunch of hacks.
I hear they're a bunch of hacks.
No, the thing I want to credit first and foremost in this sense is Iman. Because, when I started doing this, the idea I had was learning from other people. So it was like following YouTubers and other podcasters I liked and kind of seeing, how they did their thing and stuff like that. And one of the first few ones that I found was you guys and Iman. And when I spoke to Iman, kind of getting in contact with her, I learned very quickly that she was like a student of the craft. Like she was the one that really, when she started her channel, she was following, Jeremy Johns, like you guys, like Agasan, everyone. She was like learning from them, like everyone's models, like, and kind of putting that together into what she wanted to do. And so I kind of learned that approach from her, like when I started like following like, kind of what she was doing on the inside. And so from there, I started following like as many people as I could, in a sense of like not just everyone, but just like people who had kind of like a unique approach and like way of doing things. And so it was you guys, Iman Snow, Blind Wave, Akasan, The Real Rejects, Failwell. Failwell. I mean, like Michael, he's fantastic. It was in the Schmodown, everyone, the Schmodown as it started was like kind of a collective, like a Super Smash Brothers of online personalities coming together, like Jeremy Johns, John Campia, Christian Harloff, Mark Ellis.
I love Jeremy Johns. Jeremy Johns is great.
Yeah, and it was like I learned about that from people who were just like working in separate spaces, and then they would come together on the Schmodown. It was like an Avengers type event in the competition. And the one that hooked me was Jane Nicholson. Like she does like a lot of like hot takes on Star Wars and all her funny 1 hour 2 hour videos about what's wrong with these things. And she was on a Schmodown match, and that was the kind of a cool thing I saw, and that's what sparked the idea of this possibility of kind of bringing people together in a network and working together in a space that we can help each other and do fun stuff and like a big crossover idea. And Lewis, he was the one that kind of told me, he gave me the other idea of kind of doing this as a profession for people, because he was the one saying like, a lot of people need audio help because they either can't do it or they don't know how to do it. One big fish, so I think we're kind of hoping we can still land at some point in the future is King Vader. Because we love King Vader stuff. We absolutely love it. But Lewis has always said like his audio could use some help. Like in a respectful manner. He could definitely use some help. And
I think it's gotten better from stuff I've seen. But there used to be a lot of very low audio compared to like everything else.
Yeah. And
he's been an inspiration to us because he really kind of, the way he jumps on his skit game is a way that like we watch and we are envious of. We're like, fuck, man. Because I feel like we have ideas that are that grand and we don't have the time to execute them while also like keeping the reaction machine going. And it's just like we look at it, it's like we're driving past him and he's having his party outside and we're in the car. We're just like,
we can't start it. We're like still putting gas in.
It's like
right. We're like, we can stop for 5 seconds and dance and then we gotta go.
A lot of patience too, man. Like a lot of patience from like the shots I'm looking at. He takes his time too.
I get what you mean. Like the ADR, that like there's things that a lot of YouTubers when they're starting, like the most important fact is sound, and like I just appreciate that. Luis, you're able to help them from your standpoint and all the professional experience that you've gained, and Eric, you as well, through just like a video production standpoint. So both of you kind of tag team this shit really well.
We're trying to spread the good word as much as we can.
The biggest thing is just not just because it's my profession or complain about it, but it's just a lot of people do definitely focus on the visual side, of course, and everything. They forget a lot about the rest of the stuff. Most of the times when I get projects, like they already ran out of their budget, and then someone told them, "Oh, who did your audio?" And they're like, "Oh, what? This is something I got to do." So man,
we got pretty lucky.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you can finish.
So I just wish, there was a way, like, that's my goal, is just to get people to understand how important this side of it is as well, and how much better it will make your production. It's like half as important as the visual side of it, you know? So that's just my mission statement. With all this stuff.
The bringer of audio. I was going to say, me and Serge went to the same film school, and we're pretty lucky because I feel like our teachers really hammered home how important audio was when we were getting started. And probably one of the first pieces of gear that I did buy was I got like a nice camera that could do HD, and then I bought a Zoom.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I had neatly like field recorder, and I know the Zoom isn't the best quality, but it's better than nothing.
Oh, yeah, Zoom's
like you
decent,
just the second anyone can get away from camera audio is the second that you're like, all right, like now you're on the right foot. Like just
even
abandon
everything from even like wrapping the chords. Like there's a science to it. You know what I mean? You can't just.
People should realize it, and anyone that's watching here right now that is into like video production, all this stuff. That camera on your or that mic on your camera is not good. I promise you. It's very.
It's actually shit.
Is strictly for safety.
Everything in that camera is expensive and nice, but that mic is just like a little $3 mic or something. You know.
Yeah.
So before we move on to the next question, I have a question. This is a personal one. So I think I might have told you guys this when I met you out in LA, but I met a semi-famous YouTuber, a bigger YouTuber, who I watch her videos like here in my living room, and I freaked out and tried to talk to her and made a real ass of myself. For anybody listening, it was Lindsay Ellis. I'm sure she doesn't listen to or watch this podcast or give a shit. If she does, I apologize. Exactly. She's like she used to do stuff with the Nostalgia Critic way back in the day. Branched off to do her own thing. Yeah. She's got some like short films she's did, and like I really dig her like style of content, and she works with PBS, and like I saw her and I was like, oh man, I'm a huge fan of that YouTuber, and like we're in the same space, and like I shouldn't talk to her, and then Marquette was like, oh my god, that's her, and I was like, fuck it, I got the energy, and I was like, hi Lindsay, and she was like, oh hi, do I know you? And I was like, no, your video's good.
Was that Chronic Rose?
It was at the Patreon convention. So like when you guys see or meet like a YouTuber that like you're already a fan of, like how do you keep your shit together?
It's funny. I also met Lindsay at a press screening.
Oh, you probably didn't shit the bed.
No, it's funny because the one I mentioned before, Jenny Nicholson, who is the YouTuber who does like her video essays or video talks onto her camera about pop culture things. They're close friends. They're very close friends in real life, and so I went to a press screening for Alita: Battle Angel, and
I haven't watched that shit.
Yes, it's a fun movie. But I was so I got there. It was a press screening. It was in like downtown LA, pretty far from where we live. And I got there by myself. I went there by myself from an invitation from a Twitter page who invited me. And I got lost because it was like a huge complex that I'd never been to, and a theater I'd never been to. And I was walking around the structure for a little while trying to find my way. And I was walking up and down the stairs. And when I turned the corner in the parking structure still, and I ran right into face to face Jenny Nicholson. And I was like, oh, like, sorry. And she's like, do you know where the theater is? And I was like, oh, are you here for the screening as well? She's like, yeah. And so we walked around for the next like 15 minutes trying to find the theater together with her friend. And we were talking and chatting and stuff like that and everything. I casually, she said, what do you do? I said, I'm an editor. And she's like, oh, like, what do you watch? She's like, actually, I watch like some of your stuff, like for fun. Like I watch people on YouTube and, work with them. She's like, oh, that's cool. So we started talking about like a little bit of that. And then when we got to the actual theater, we found it. Lindsay Ellis was there, and she was waiting for her Jenny. And I met her, and she was very sweet, and we talked for a little bit as well. And I sat next to them in the theater as we watched Alita: Battle Angel. And it's a fun movie. I enjoyed it. It's perfectly fine. But they of course like they were very respectful in the manner. But they tore that movie apart under their breath, like in a funny way though, because they don't do reactions, but because like that's not their style of what the content that they do. But they had like a really genuinely funny reaction to the movie because like their commentary is like so biting and so clever, and it was super funny. It made the movie. I think even better, like to me, the experience even better, even though like they absolutely trashed it, but I like the movie. Also in Tangent, I like their commentary on it. It was just a fun juxtaposition. They were just like kind of poking fun at like the kind of like logical sense in it. And some stuff, it's like, they're just like, like, it's like kind of nitpicky stuff, but it's just them having a good time with each other, just two friends, kind of like
not so much the
sounds
style.
like the kind of shit that I like.
Yeah, you just watch a movie, you kind of like like that's a silly thing, But Nahid, I would say you should watch it definitely. It's a fun movie. It's an absolutely fun movie.
It's cool. It's
I actually think Nahid will like it.
It's like a live action anime-ish kind of. Well, not live action.
I saw like the first like 15 minutes of it, and then I kind of turned it off.
Yeah,
I think I watched it on a plane and fell asleep. But man, see, that's awesome. I guess in the future, if I ever get the chance, I'll have to keep it
Second
cool.
E.
Yeah,
Play
and
like Eric.
and that was part of like the job that we had mentioned. Like Lewis was down on the floor in that job, the hologram studio that we worked at. He met more people than I did because he was the on hands type of guy, and so I was in the editing bay cleaning stuff up, but he was on the floor on the set, miking people up and sending the audio up.
Yeah.
And so like you have more experience, kind of like meet people and trying to.
I've put
cool.
my hands on some celebrities. It's the most awkward thing in the world, having to mic someone up, man. I absolutely hate it, and I wish I never ever do it. And anytime I ever had like a second engineer or anything like that, I would be like, "You do it."
Hey, lob them up.
It's even appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny enough. When I was in school, we had a class called Studio Etiquette, and
Holy
yeah,
shit.
they drill into us like not reacting or like just not getting overwhelmed or anything with like celebrities or anything like that, or like asking them for photos, or they tell you like how you're supposed to act around all these people, because otherwise it's you'll lose your job if you do something.
God damn it.
Like straight up, because
Yeah.
a lot of these people, they're coming into work, and they already deal with it outside. They don't want to deal with it inside, and they tell you right off the bat. A lot of studios never ask anyone for a photo, never like really make any sort of conversation about like, oh, you could say like, hey, I'm a fan or anything like that, but don't try to talk to them, and make it a personal conversation about it. It's just business, all work, and don't be weird. Like,
I completely understand that. I completely understand that.
Yeah.
I had literally no idea. The only celebrity that I've been close with on a regular is in 2004 we went to Miami, and DJ Khaled was the DJ at the radio station my aunt works at, and they're like kind of friends at the time, and like he had on his big Terror Squad necklace, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? My aunt's like, that's Fat Joe's DJ. I was like, damn, that's cool. And he even recorded, like, we've lost the CD, so like no one's ever gonna believe me, but he recorded a like happy graduation shout out to me and my cousin.
Oh, nice.
And he's like a loud motherfucker. He's like, yo, this is for Chris on his graduation. I put these couple of songs together. DJ Khaled. But like he still wasn't like super famous, and I was like, she got the DJ to like scream on the track.
That's so sick.
yeah.
I would have lost my shit.
Get my fucking
Dude, I would have
etiquette
posted
together.
it on the internet.
I bet my cousin still has it.
I was-
on the internet.
I was a little nervous meeting Henry Simmons, who plays Mac on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, nice.
It was at a PopCon, and Chris and I were trying to secretly record an interview with him because we weren't allowed to.
Oh, really?
So maybe that
Yeah.
kind of had a hand
because
in
we're
it.
the worst.
It didn't quite work. The guy caught us, was like, put that away. And Chris was like,
Yeah.
"Oh." But while we're still on the subject of YouTube, I kind of wanted to ask you guys your opinion on, you had mentioned that you've worked with several reactors, or you're fans of reactors. And since you guys have been in the professional industry as well, where do you fall on the whole of reactions are like a shit genre? They're leeching off of other creators, and what is your kind of scale on how legit or how integral this is as an art form or as a piece of content?
Yeah, and that's definitely part of it. So again, I work with in tangent with the whole like reacting to people that you see and I work with a lot of online personalities now because of the Schmodown. Like we have people coming in and out of there all the time, and it is like a big Super Smash Brothers thing of like online personalities coming in doing a competition. And I have gotten to know Christian Harloff, the creator, co-founder of the show, and Mark Ellis like very well now. Like we're very close, and the Collider and Jedi Council and like kind of that space of people faced for a long time like kind of a lot of backlash of like this kind of pop culture online space of like you're doing the stuff that's talking about pop culture stuff, you're talking about movies and like Star Wars and things like that, and unfortunately, as funny as it is, Red Letter Media kind of pushed the narrative of like shills and like you're using this stuff as just for a means of like monetary value. You just want to talk about stuff that people like and you can cash in on it. Yeah. You're not really fans of it, like you're just doing it because it's like easy money and it's like very silly and superfluous stuff. And so when I was getting into the space, I was kind of trying to find the balance. I was doing the research of like how people viewed this type of stuff, like if people who enjoyed it, people who were critical of it, and kind of like gauging the actual like dynamics, like how they interacted with each other. And when I started, like the reaction, that was like 2017 ish when I started looking into it. And I think the big one that launched a lot of platforms was the reaction to The Walking Dead, which was the big episode where sorry, spoilers for like a 5-year-old season where Glenn dies. Yeah, that one. And that's, I think, when like so many reaction channels blew up because it was like such a cultural thing. Before that, we had Game of Thrones with like the Red Wedding reactions, but that was still kind of a niche scene. It was like that one individual event, and then like kind of like we didn't see a lot of stuff after that. And when we got back to The Walking Dead, like shortly after that, we started seeing people kind of like find like people like you and Blindwave and Akasan and Iman Snow. Iman, that was like her first video that blew up from like a couple thousand views to like 6 million views. And that's when she got like the culture shock of like how people viewed reactions and people telling her like, this is so either fake or you're overreacting or like it's silly, like this is like you're just doing this for money and it's all an act. And so I started kind of understanding how people viewed reactions, which was, Serge, like you're saying, some people view it as it's like, silly, superficial content that you don't have to put any thought into. And it's you are just taking other people's content and like watching it, and there's no reason to enjoy. Like, why would you watch a content again just with another person? But the thing is, I think Lewis and I have always experienced with each other is that we enjoy watching the content the most when it's with other people.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy watching something like great for myself the first time. I rarely rewatch things ever, like for fun for myself. I'm not the type of guy who could just sit down by myself and just rewatch a movie in its entirety just for fun. But I can watch a movie like over and over again 6-7 times with another person. Like I saw Infinity War 7 times in theaters opening weekend, because I went and saw it with other people. Like saw it with this friend, that friend, like Lewis, like my parents, so on. And so when I found the reaction channels, that's kind of like the fit like that specific desire that I had. I love watching new stuff with new people. I like seeing it through their eyes and how they view it. And so like I really wanted to get what it felt like just watch people with like you and Iman Snow, and seeing how the value that you guys bring to the platform is the fact that it's a genuine thing. I do believe you guys. I believe that everything you experience and your reactions is real, and I like that kind of experience. Like you don't get that a lot with friends and stuff. Like people only have so many friends, like really, and your friends only watch so many things.
Yeah. And especially friends you can like sit down with and watch a whole like series.
From beginning to end, and you can catch like glimpses and episodes. And I do think that there is value. There is certainly value to what you guys do and to the platform and this whole new medium that people have kind of latched onto. Since then, luckily, I think people have finally began to understand like what this space is, and if it's not for them, it's not for them. Like they don't come and shit on it as much. And now like they come and they find the specific ones that they want to see. They want to see this person reacting to this show on this platform in this certain way. If it's gaming, if it's TV, if it's movies, if it's like a 1 hour cut, 2 hour cut, 1 part, 2 part, 10-minute highlights, poppy, like just straight. There's all these different kind of genres and styles that people have now that people latch onto. And like, I think that's when I learned the most was that there's variations in how we enjoy these type of things. And I try to kind of meld that into what I could do for other people, which was, like, what do you want to do? Like, you want to be on the space? How would you like to display yourself in the way that's most comfortable, but that's also entertaining to people because they feel comfortable with you? Because that's part of it, being comfortable with each other.
Yeah. Who are the guys that try to like copyright reactions?
The Fine Bros. Yeah.
See, those guys knew right off the bat how big this whole reaction thing was going to get. Yeah. And can you just imagine where it'd be right now if those guys would have succeeded in doing what they were trying to do? And I think
they'd be the Bill Gates of the YouTube.
Yeah, I think there's a big point to that because despite what people want to come on and like criticize and say, like our entertainment is in our phones now, more than it is like going to a theater. Well, I mean, we still go to theaters and everything, but like we spend most of the time on our phones. This is where it's at. Me personally, as a sound designer, I've gone through like this thought process over the last couple of years where like I would rather work with YouTubers and reactors and people that are making content for online distribution way more than I want to like work with these independent filmmakers or anything like that. Like, no disrespect to anyone or anything like that. And I'm not trying to like cost myself work or anything, but like everything is in like social media and like YouTube and like content creation for the internet. And that's what everyone loves. And this is only going to get bigger. I don't see it like falling like down to the wayside or anything like that. Like they're making like what's the new company, Quibi, right? Quibi is making it
10-minute content.
10-minute content because they know like realistically, our attention spans are just so much smaller now. You know, so you know, and then you got like TikTok with like 30-second videos and all this stuff blowing up, and you know, people want as much content as possible in their phones. This is how we entertain ourselves. So I just see reaction channels getting even bigger and more people getting involved with it as time goes on.
And it still stands to be like, I'll real quick, it's the only way you can re-experience something like we had talked about in the Lost podcast that we did. Luis, I know you're a huge fan. That like
I loved your guys' series.
Thanks, man.
Which I tell you, and I will be putting that episode up like this week, because like I was waiting for you guys to finish, and then
for sure
I had some computer issues I need to get through, but yeah, it's coming soon.
Oh, no problem. I just mean like that is the only way you can never watch something again as if it's the first time. So I do hope that like creators behind these works realize that, you know, it's, for me, I would love to see someone watch my own work and appreciate it and be you know, evoke the emotion that you were trying to convey. So hopefully they see the benefit in it as time goes on as well.
We should have given you reactions to your reactions.
The
whole Inception right.
So Luis just said something that kind of struck a chord with me, and then after this I think that he does push next. Sure. Yeah, so Luis said he was saying that like he would rather work with like YouTubers and content creators than like on short films. I had got a chance to work on a short film back in 2017. It's called The Night of the Unspeakable. Please go look it up. You can find it. It's out there somewhere. It's awesome. And like I was looking it up because I was trying to remember the name, and I typed it up in IMDb. Like I'm on the list in IMDb for like a person who edited this film, and it's gotten who knows how much views and like how much leeway, but I'm more known for like, you know, falling asleep in a Naruto reaction and being on the internet than anything else. And it's like, that's the type of thing that it's like, you can see like these short films, which I still get a kick out of making because I love like doing an art project and that being like, hey, I worked on this project for this amount of time. I got to give it this focus, but like you're able to reach so many more people and like affect so many more different lives and be, I don't know, just like available to a wider variety of people when you're doing the content creating. And I think you really hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah. And I think that's like also the thing with a lot of like the independent film and the TV and television side, like they want to like, you know, stay like where they're at. Like I have IMDb as well, and then like I get so frustrated because I've worked on a lot of things, but like there's only a certain amount of things that I can even put there as credit, and for whatever reason people look at that and it'll be like, this is like your entire work log, and it's like, no man, like you can like quadruple it. Like I think I only have like something like 30 credits on IMDb. But like there's like a lot more I've done in all this time, and I think it's even I value my work that I've done with people like that work online and like other stuff than almost like a lot of that in a sense. And I think it's only going to get, you know, bigger on the other side. So there needs to be like some sort of way to like put like content creators and stuff that you work with as well.
That's the thing, because like you know, I think before we got into this whole thing, we were discussing, I remember one day in the car, how, you know, the industry is what it is. Like the film industry, the TV industry, it is what it is, and the people who are in there have been in there for like 30 plus years. And the top people who are making decisions and making people, bringing other people in to kind of grow it. And it is that kind of systematic thing where you get in because you know someone who's already been there. They know someone who's been there for a long time. And it's just whoever's in there has been in there. And it's like kind of like this know someone type of thing. It's who you know more than what you know. Yeah. And we, I think, found at some point that the online space was the way that things were going. And it's an easier way to network with people and to kind of let new ideas and new people get a chance. And help them get a chance, in a sense where like you don't have to have like $1 million to start something. You can just, if you're a good person, you have good content, you have good ideas, a camera and a microphone will suffice, and people will find your content and they'll latch onto it because it's good stuff.
That's some power right there.
Yep. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Is just that the industry standard is not affordable to 90% of the people that are making content today. And that's, you know, the biggest thing we're trying to change and trying to help, because it's also not even hard. Like you can get all the knowledge that I've learned on YouTube now. Like I've learned everything. You know, as much as I went and I paid so much for school and everything, and I've learned more on the years afterwards, watching like tutorials and watching the way other people mix things and everything, than I did in the, you know, year and a half that I was getting my education. So.
I think the best part about that education is like the people you
Yeah,
meet.
it is really just. I paid a lot of
meet.
money for contacts.
The networking.
And yeah,
So my question that I wanted to ask you guys is more of on like, I would say like the copyright issue of like the stuff that we do. How do you guys feel about like, I don't know, just like the fair use and all that good stuff when it comes to reactions? Because like, you know, we get it from ends of like, oh, you guys are completely stealing content, and sometimes we don't get it. Like for example, a good use where I felt like we, you know, like when we met the Expanse writers basically said that they watched our videos and they were just like, oh yeah, we watched your guys' videos. It's kind of like watching, you know, it's like they watch it in the right register. We're like the best, like, you know, we're the best. What do you want to call it? Like test subjects for their shows.
right.
So in that aspect, we've always felt like we've gotten some sort of like okay from them to do this kind of stuff, because that was like our first sign that, oh, someone, you know, that we're reacting to the show, they're actually watching it. How do you think like the other guys would feel about this kind of stuff, as far as like fair use and like us stealing their content and more than anything?
You mean like the studios and who make the content? Yeah. I mean, I know there are some that enjoy it. There definitely are some that enjoy it. It was I think it was Michael J. Straczynski. He's a famous comic book writer.
Yeah.
He says he likes watching reactions to people watching stuff that's based off his content, based off his writing, and you know, LM Reactions, another two Russian girls that I do like. I watch their Walking Dead and their 100 reactions.
Vikings also, I think.
Vikings, they're
Vikings
fantastic. They get shouted out a couple times by the creators as well, and you know, some content creators they do enjoy it. I think the issue when it comes to fair use and like copyright stuff is that it usually has to be that hard rule of like you can't let people infringe on it in a way that's detrimental to the brand.
Okay.
Because if you let one person do it, it opens the floodgates to like a precedent to let other people do it.
Yeah. And
then it's different from if you let a small YouTuber do it, and then that leads into a studio or a larger entity using that precedent in a more nefarious way against them. So that's what they had to protect themselves from. So I understand that aspect. However, I do understand like the kind of desire to meet them halfway.
Yeah.
You know, like this, like it's clear that you guys in this space are not trying to be nefarious, or you don't have ulterior motives to steal content in a way that's trying to damage the brand or the product from them or take it away from them. And some people do latch onto it. Some do find value in it. Specifically, Skybound. Skybound's been very fantastic about bringing the reactors into the fold and kind of like elevating them in the way that we kind of want to, which is putting the compilations together for the Walking Dead, which I see you guys on frequently, and which is great because I work with Skybound because we partnered with them this year for the Schmodown, and I'm getting more into like their space of like what they do with gamma ray and like the post production side of like how those things work with like the workflow and like bringing in ideas to like kind of make these platforms better in the ways that the ones that they want to help. And so like it's through them that we find each other, you know, like it's through Skybound that we find you guys, then people can find you, they can find Blindwave, Katie O'Shaughnessy, Fail Whale, Akasan, like more of these people who are a reactor that I found recently that I really liked was Mashond. She does Walking Dead reactions and she's great as well. She just moved out here to LA. And so it's this idea of like letting people react to this content, having an eye on them, but also like giving them the space to like say like, hey, we know it's copyrighted stuff, but we're gonna be okay with it for now because we know that it's you enjoying it. We're gonna like let you guys have your safe space to do it. Like we're keeping tabs on it. Like, you know, we're not just ignoring it or shutting it down. Because
the reason I'm asking this is because we've gotten reamed before. Can we talk about this? The situation, man. So
I personally,
man. We had some YouTuber call us out for stealing content. His name is the Tipster, and
Tipster, was it Tipster or is it Trickster?
Tipster. He's basically like a not so famous version of what's that guy's name again? Keemstar.
He's like Keemstar, but like it's a hashtag Tipster News.
I mean, whatever he's doing, man. Respect to his content, whatever. But he basically called us out and said that we were stealing content. And I'm not gonna lie, he was very, very rude about it. If you're out there watching, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I didn't appreciate some of the things you were saying because we've never met. I felt like you could have been nicer about it. I feel like if we met in person, we've been a lot.
It's the internet, bro.
I know, the internet. People feel like they can say whatever they want in front of each other. But I'm gonna be like the way I would meet you. But yeah, he said basically we were, you know, stealing content, blah, 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 blah. We were, you know, not holding copyright, and just because 10 minutes isn't considered fair use, we're not changing anything up. it just, I'm not gonna lie, it irked me a little bit because I feel like when it comes to the reaction and copyright, I feel like our channel, we really go balls to the walls with that. We do our best to like make sure we're very, very fair on it. And it's very bothersome.
Yeah. So was he? So I was going to ask, was he objecting to your use of
he was just like
shows from like a moral standpoint? He was saying like he
was he was essentially saying that even though we're cutting out plenty of things in the show, you could still get the entire gist of an episode by watching a reaction of us.
That's fine. You can get a gist of an episode by reading on Wikipedia too. Like that's not why you watch a TV show. Like you watch it to enjoy it. Like I watch your reactions to enjoy your reactions. I don't watch it to enjoy the show through your reactions. I watch the episode first to make sure I enjoy the episode. Otherwise, there's a lot of context taken out. Like I can get the bare bones information. Like that's fine. That's reading reading an encyclopedia. That's not enjoying something.
Yeah.
And on top of that, a lot of the fans kind of jumped on him in the comments and said, essentially,
But like, I do think there are bad actors out there though, as in like putting up the whole footage and stuff like that, and which is why like we kind of want to be out there too, helping out other reactors and giving them like specific guidelines or like best practices to not just regurgitate the whole episode and in the same video, because that's obviously not going to help anybody.
From the discussion me and Serge had, it was basically like, because if they start doing this, it's going to create more bad actors like this, and then all of a sudden they're going to start jumping in our community when we've been the best actors, as I would say. We don't want that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it just sucks, like, there's the disconnect that we have with, you guys in the space that you're providing the content, and then the viewers who enjoy the content, and like the ones who understand like the limitations that you have, and the ones that don't. And then fortunately the ones that don't then kind of jump on you for not providing them with like all the content that you want. Like Iman's run into this a few times over the last year, people telling her like, how come you in your full-time reactions, how come you don't like have the whole show like as like up with your reaction? And she said like that we can't do that. That's illegal. Like we're just like giving you the whole episode. That's piracy. And so people are getting like they have that disconnect where they don't understand like why you can't just give them the whole content. Or what's the problem with that? And it's educating everyone on like the standards of what you're trying to hold for the benefit of the studios who are graciously letting you and us like use the content. It's to begin with.
Yep.
Sweet. Yeah, so we got a few more questions. We're my camera is to be believed.
And we're just like having a good old fun conversation. It's just like we're just
that's what this is about. That's what I want these podcasts to be, man.
Yeah.
I want someone to watch, like, you should be able to watch all of these podcasts when they're up and have all the information you need to like start your own channel and do whatever you want. So we got a couple more questions, but you guys said something about a person, a content creator moving out to LA. So what do you think about content creators specifically from the Midwest? Let's even say like a place like Indianapolis, moving out to the coast so that they could be where the action is, be able to talk with more different channels, be able to do what's the content when you do stuff together? Collaboration is what that's called. To be able to do things like that. I'm going stir crazy from being in the fucking
yeah, man. We've always like been very cooperative with people who want to do that. Like
we've always just been like almost like a halfway house for people to transition from leaving their hometown to establishing themselves here in LA.
Yeah,
ever since we've lived together.
Yeah, like straight from the underground.
Yeah.
I could stay with you guys if I went out there for like a week.
I'm serious, like no joke. Like if you wanted to, like you could. Like we have a spare room, like for people for these situations.
Dude, trust me, when I went to LA, these guys took care of me, bro. There's like, what do you need?
Look,
very true.
Look, I lived when I first moved to LA. I lived in a little 2-bedroom apartment out in Hollywood. And there was about 7 of us living there.
Yes.
At first, it was originally supposed to be just 2 of us, and then there was like 7 of us eventually just crammed in the living room. Yeah. Only just because like everyone's just trying to make it, man. Everyone's trying to, everyone's going to school for music and all that stuff. And
it's kind of
like I've always been like that, man.
Yeah,
I love that. That's fun, man. That's that struggle to like work together and hopefully come up and make it, underground and going all the way up. I love it. You guys are insane.
So like Luis,
I know you guys are from the coast, but that sounds like Midwest hospitality.
Yeah.
Luis, do you feel like it's necessary though for someone to be in LA to make it on YouTube? I mean, I know you don't necessarily have to.
I mean, it's not. you don't have to, but surrounding yourself around it's all, for me personally, it's all about the energy you surround yourself with. If you're in a small town and you're surrounded by a lot of people that, you know, just say like, oh, you can't make money doing YouTube, or you can't make you can't make it as this or that or anything, get the hell out of there, man. Like I've always been like that. Like, I moved out here when I was 18. I was from a very small town. I did not like the you know, the way people saw the world, and people felt like they lived in their own little town or little bubble there. And
fuck that.
you know, I got out of there, and I did it despite I probably should have planned it out more, and I struggled for a good while, like a solid 4 or 5 years. But at least like I'm at this point now where like this is LA's my home. This is where I live. This is where I'll continue living. You know, I don't have to like fall back to like where I came from at any point, you know. And it was all worth it now, because, you know, now I do get to create. I'm more comfortable, you know, not having like a routine job and, you know, something that I don't enjoy, and I'm working in things that I do like now.
Yeah, there's no, you know, we won't lie, we won't sugarcoat it. LA is a struggle. LA is a struggle to kind of live out here and establish yourself out here, just from like a comfortable standpoint, you know, just making yourself, you have a roof over your head, you can eat properly, you can live properly. And so we have understood for a long time that people have ambitions to be here to do bigger things, and so we kind of always wanted to help them, whether, you know, they crash on a couch in our spare room, they can come here and hang out and get some ideas off of us, and we can go out to eat, and just show that they're not alone when they're out here. And we try to help as best as we can. And so being out here, like Lewis said, it's about being around creative people who want to help each other. I think is the biggest thing that we always want to provide for the ones that we do find, and they have like the ambition to do things. And in that sense, like I've luckily the circle of friends and people that I've met and worked with, I like being able to put them in contact with each other, because that's how we help grow. So like people who are out here in LA, I'm able to introduce them to things like the Schmodown, to other things that I know people out here, and we can all work together to kind of grow the ideas that we want to kind of bring forth.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah,
Definitely always go for what you want to do, and surround yourself around. Put yourself in a position where you're surrounded around the people that are going to, you know, help you get to where you want to get.
Yeah,
so.
I hear you on the
LA
energy
is
thing.
that.
Your team. You gotta have a good team.
Yeah.
And the energy.
Few more questions, and we're gonna be wrapping up. But I have to go to the restroom. I've had a pee break in all
can I
of
ask
these.
some questions?
Yeah, just whatever. I'll hop back in when I come back in. We're in separate fucking locations.
Yeah. So, hey, fam.
Give a
Hey,
shit.
so my biggest question to you guys is obviously, man, like, the world has gone, it's crazy, you know, it's crazy now.
Yep.
And I will say that I feel like YouTube has been a big, it's a saving grace for a lot of people. You know, people are like, nowadays, they're like, the live streams, everything in general. What is your guys' like, I would say, what do you think about the future of the platform in general, of like YouTube? What do you think about the future of us, like reactions, you know? Yeah.
It's
your thoughts on that.
And if the pandemic will affect anything at all.
Yeah. That's where I was gonna follow up with the next, is the pandemic. Yeah. Serge, I love you. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it. Like right now with what's going on, everyone's at home. Everyone's one has the time to enjoy more content, but then there's also the flip side of that, which people have the time to produce more content. They have the time to kind of start that channel that they wanted to start doing those live streams and those creative projects that they didn't have time to do before. Hopefully they have the means to do it and to also live properly. Like I said, they have the money. If you know whether they lost their job or not, they can do stuff that helps them feel fulfilled, creatively fulfilled. But right now I'm seeing in my space with not the site, but in my area of my work with people that I know is since this whole thing started, the quarantine started, I've seen like dozens of people start their new channels, their new like streaming. Like I'm streaming with Thursday nights, doing like this discussion with like this guest, and like where we're doing live streams, this and that, and it's a lot of content, and it's like content wars right now with people fighting for attention. and like overlapping with each other, and it's tough. And the biggest thing I see right now for the future of the way things are progressing is live streams. Like live streams have become so accessible to people to just jump on, turn on the camera, turn on their webcam and their microphone, just like start talking about whatever, whether it's a discussion, a review, a game, watch along, a live reaction, so on, so on. It does kind of shape the way we approach these things, which is that, people I think enjoy finally produce content, and you guys provide that. You guys definitely provide that with the way your content looks, the way it's released, like the structure, the schedule, the look and the quality of it, and that's great. I don't think everyone's going to let that go. Everyone's going to no one's going to overlook that or forget about that. But we are I say as me and you and the collective we, is that we're going to have to adapt to that, which is now that people have the ability to do live streams, which is they can sit down and just like, hey, I'm going to watch this movie. You can watch along with me live right now, and it streamlines the whole experience. And to me, I've kept tabs on that because I think it sets a quote unquote dangerous precedent for us because we have for so long produced content in a more structured way where you guys watch it, you record it, you sync it together, you put the bells and whistles on it, and you release it in a good package. How valuable is that package compared to immediate satisfaction, where people can watch live streams and get that payoff right away? You don't get the 10-minute cut down, you don't get the picture, but you have the experience of watching it in its entirety with someone for fun in a live chat right away. And we had to kind of be aware of that and hopefully bridge the gap between what's becoming more accessible to the audience and as opposed to what has been the established order for the past so many years.
So, and without really revealing where I'm currently like working at or what I'm involved with right now, I'll tell you guys that I feel the TV and film industry is panicking way more right now than the YouTube industry is, and that's YouTube, any online content whatsoever right now. And I think that's more testament to where everything is going, where technology is going, and I think you guys and everyone that's creating content for online distribution now is more in the right place than the TV and film industry even is right now.
Yeah.
And they have all their money and they have all their stuff and all the high tech stuff and everything like that. But if they have no one that's going to be able to sit down and go watch it, they will fall and crumble.
Yeah.
And that you're seeing like rumors now of like AMC declaring bankruptcy potentially and all this stuff, and it's like we could have a great amount of movie theaters shut down and then not even start up before this year ends.
Yeah.
And what are people going to do? Like another theater company isn't going to come around. We're just going to move on from that.
Yeah.
So where do we move on to next? Online, and that's why you got like this Quibi thing is going to like blow up like so quick.
They're like doing $20 movie releases on stuff like
YouTube. Like I just watched The Hunt, which is still supposed to be in theaters. I paid $20 to watch it. It's a shit show. Yeah. You should watch it because it's fucking ridiculous. But
I'm about to watch Star Wars here.
I watched it and I paid $20. Like, what I mean? Like, you can't go to the theater right now. But it's fucked up because it's not that this whole, I don't know if you guys were talking about the quarantine and everything, but it's not that like this quarantine has happened and it's been like, oh man, we need to figure out these new ways to do things. But like it happened and then it was like, oh look, we already have the things and processes for us to just kind of go around all the shit that's already happening. Like, oh, you could go to the theater or you could have a Netflix party and watch a movie with 6 other people. Like all the things are already in place to like make movie theaters and these other different like industries obsolete, which is crazy. Because I need IMAX. I'm gonna need that.
I still like love the theater going experience. So like I hope it doesn't go entirely. Because I even like going up and like watching episodes of shows.
No, when we get back to normal, if and when that happens, I think the theaters will come back with a boom in the sense that people will remember like what they missed from it. Like there was always that discussion of like, why do we need theaters? Because we just watch it at home like the same way. I think the people who appreciated that experience will really miss it, and they'll want to go back to it immediately as soon as that's possible. Because I miss the theaters. I love going to theaters and seeing in the format that it should ideally be in, with the scale that it should be in. And you're right though, Chris. People who like you and other channels I know, like they were ready, they're prepared for this. Like this is what they were already doing and set for when this whole thing happened. Like Hyper RPG and like a lot of people that I know. It's funny because at the beginning of the year, a lot of people I know through the Schmodown worked for Collider, and in January, Collider had a cleaning of house, which they ended up firing a lot of the content, the talent from the channel, and kind of like casted them into the ether. And those people bounced back. It took them a second, but they bounced back. They started their own individual channels. We saw them splinter off into like their streaming channels. They're doing this morning show now, like this and that. And it was almost a blessing in disguise happening in January, because now they had those platforms running in March when this all happened. And so when people had to stay home, they then found like those people who had those streaming platforms, and now they could find their favorite people already talking online about the content they were previously enjoying, like new movie news and reviews, movie watch-alongs and stuff like that. So yeah, like Lewis and Nahid, like you guys are right. Like the fact that we have this space already kind of established, it does feel like this is going to accelerate like the way people ingest online content in a way that we now have to kind of like adapt to what the viewer is going to have at their disposal for the time being, for the next however long it's going to last, like probably another few months.
I just want to go for it.
Yeah, I think theaters will definitely still be around, but they're definitely going to have to like change things up a bit. And I mean, for a long time, I mean, right now theaters are like 5.1. You got like Prime Atmos going like at 7.1 surround sound. I've heard for a very long time about like 360 sound and all this stuff like that. There's like a bunch of like different things that are now going to have to be added to theaters to really like drag those people in. So the experience of watching a movie in the best possible picture and sound and everything will still be there, and there'll still be that demand for it. But it just online is still going to just be the powerhouse for the future, and that's where a lot of these companies need to like see how they get into it.
I really see like theaters as kind of like an experience where like you can go to a playground whenever you want and it's awesome. You can go outside and get that exercise, but like going to an amusement park's like a big thing, because like I've seen plenty of stuff online that has blown my mind that I like won't forget. Like there's plenty of shorts. Just to name one, for example, is like that Portal short that came out a while ago. Like that blew my mind that people could do those type of things online. But like seeing Interstellar in IMAX, when it changes from being the regular aspect ratio to the full IMAX screen when they launch into space, is like something I'm never gonna fucking forget. And like that's an experience that I couldn't have got anywhere. In IMAX, it was like I was like almost in tears.
Did we search?
Yeah.
Right around the corner, the IMAX over by the State Fair. Yeah, that shit like just the sound, the rumble, all of that to put you in that experience of someone being in a spaceship. Like I can't experience that online, and I really can't experience that anywhere aside from almost an amusement park. So like I see where it's gonna be its own thing, and like we're gonna be our own thing, and everything will be fine. I don't know about everything in the middle though. Yeah,
it's like I forgot which critic I saw, but it's saying just because you can cook food at home and get your own groceries and make your own food doesn't mean you don't want to go to a restaurant once in a while and like get some good food there. Like like the aesthetic and the presentation is like what really matters of like going to those places.
That's the biggest thing that I worked in the restaurant industry for a long time before I ever became an engineer, and that the biggest thing is like I worked for a little bit at a fine dining place where they really pushed it home, saying like they're not necessarily coming here to pay like to go out and like get a food. They're paying for an experience, and we want to promote an experience. And like that's where like a lot of these fine dining places really like focus on. And I think that's what these movie studios will have to focus on if they want to get people like sitting in the theaters, and it'll be the experience they give and the quality of the content, especially because if we get to a point where a lot of movies are now being available for you to order at home instead of going to the theater, well, if your movie sucks, no one's going to buy it. But if but if it's good, then people are going to watch it over and over and over, and I'm sure they'll implement ads into watching movies at some point, and they're going to make money off of that, because that's what it is.
I mean, we're already used to 20 minutes worth of beer, so there it is.
They better start bringing the beer to the seats, man.
There's some places that do that, though. There's already some places that do that.
Out here that do
that. I think it'll be good for like studio companies to be able to add to their box office revenue people watching from home, because I feel like they'll more easily get people watching. I'm not sure if people will pay $20 though for like, so they might have to like lower the price
Dude,
or something.
I'll be honest with you.
And it's be way easier to rip and pirate stuff too once it's like online.
Yes, you are.
True.
So they'll need to like
Right
crack
on
down
that.
on that. Yeah.
I'm seriously, I'm gonna disagree with you, man. Because I'll be honest, I'll pay $20 if a movie has not come out.
If it was like
theaters,
Avengers, if it was like you know something.
like I'll pay $20. For example, if Star Wars is at $20. Like Avengers. If it came out $20, I can get it at my apartment, 4K with my Dolby Atmos speakers. Sold. $20. Take it.
I paid
what?
$20.
$20. I can sit there and I can sit there and smoke and I mean you know what I mean, man. Shit. Yeah.
Hey Chris, do you know who made the Hunt? Who made the Hunt?
It was a Blumhouse production, but I don't remember who made it.
Oh.
Who made it?
Hey, so were you guys talking about doing?
We're gonna say Mike Hunt.
No.
Hey, you guys just if you guys ever have anybody doing any of the live reactions, just my best bit of advice for them: turn off the chat because they're gonna spoil the shit out of you.
That's
chat.
Turn off that chat.
Yeah.
So Eric and Luis, we're coming up here towards the end, so I got a few questions, but we're gonna be then a few, as in I'm gonna get Surge to ask one, Nahid to ask the other, and then I'll ask the last one. All right. Okay. So you guys have to wait a second for me to send them a message to ask it.
Yeah, you could just ask the message.
At Surge.
I thought it was Damon Lindelof, but I guess he has nothing to do with that movie, so never mind.
Serge, will you ask them? Serge asks Eric about tips for editors, and then Nahid asks Luis about tips for sound. As in, like, so this is the end of the podcast where it's like, hey, anybody who's watching who wants to do this, here are like some big tips for like you're trying to do this shit. Here's some tips for you to like move forward. But like Serge has to ask, and then Nahid has to ask, and then I cut out this part about asking them to ask, or maybe I leave it.
My video is getting darker.
Yeah, there's like the Mr. Peanut Butter. Like it's one word. Please don't write one word.
The sun. The sun.
Please don't write on the sign. Yeah, sun's setting. My video is getting darker. But yeah, before we close out the podcast, Eric, Luis, if you had any quick tips you wanted to share with any aspiring YouTubers out there about editing in particular, did you have anything?
Yeah, editing, as far as, I mean, I taught an editing class after I graduated from college. I taught a high school editing class for a couple years. And the biggest thing I always promoted was that you have to learn to love it, like doing it first, because editing is like a tedious process. Like it really is. And if you don't enjoy doing it for any certain reason, then you're not gonna like it. Like period. Like you're not gonna enjoy that aspect of it, and it's such an important aspect of it. It's like it's the final move, the final step in making your product come to life. And it's so what I did when I was younger, I started editing things like solely for fun. I would do, whether it's like compilations or like, like skits or whatever, stuff that you can just do in the edit and mess around as like putting a puzzle piece together without an actual picture to make it work. It's just throwing things together to try the craft and the mechanics of it, and learning to kind of have fun with what you are putting together, have fun doing the puzzle. And then later, once you have to do puzzles that have points, that have deadlines and major, big pictures to kind of put together and string together in a cohesive manner, then you can find the value in that, which is what I do for you guys and Iman Snow and the other reactors. Is everyone has, like I said, a different approach to how they do it, and it is about finding that right approach per person, like per client, and understanding like their needs and what they kind of want to give off to the audience. It's not just a end-all be-all approach for one person to another. You have to kind of adapt to what the client needs, and I do think that you find the ability to do that with yourself first, which is like finding the ability to kind of have fun with like doing nothing, building having a box of scraps like Tony Stark, and just building nothing into something that you find valuable, and then when you can do that, you have the ability later to do it for people in the way that they want to, and you can take notes much easier. You can understand like that how they view the edit without having touched it, because that's a hard part, because people giving you notes on your edit when they don't know how to edit themselves can be like a very frustrating thing. And so like when you have the ability to understand that they have like a certain they're coming from like a level 0 into trying to navigate that through you with your experience, you're able to kind of meet them halfway much easier. And like as far as I think as editing goes for reaction channels, that's kind of the main thing, because that's what I've been doing for the last year and a half. So that's where my head's at. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I got something that's pretty important. My biggest thing when I watch a lot of YouTubers is content or any video or anything whatsoever is when the audio is like the dialogue's very low, and the number one reason this happens is because headphones can be the most deceitful thing to anyone that's like editing their stuff, because most of the times people don't have these nice speakers and they're just editing their room. They got their headphones on. You might think that things sound leveled right, but that's only because you have the volume on your headphones up. Make sure you always watch your meter, your meter, whatever you have. Set up a meter. Always see what level all your stuff is being done at. Start with your dialogue. Get everything at the exact same level with your dialogue consistently through. If it sounds too loud to you, turn the volume down on your headphones and stick with the meters. They will never lie to you. And then bring, your music and your sound effects or any other, like even in music, like your bass and your guitar and all that, bring all that stuff around your main point of interest, which is always going to be your dialogue and your vocals. And if anyone needs to know kind of more like technical thing for it, always put your dialogue and vocals somewhere around -10 decibels, and then bring everything else around it, and then give yourself some room at around -3 decibels max, and then you can overall bring your stuff up to to the loudest possible thing.
Nice one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He has the actual technical
Right.
advice.
I was about to ask the decibel question
It's important.
myself.
It's very important.
My teacher was saying
Right.
-6 decibels, but then like now I'm hearing -10 like from you and other places too.
They say that for dialogue
Gotcha.
or overall.
Overall,
Well,
like
no,
our
it just
professor
depends.
was like always be at -6 decibels, and I was like, oh, okay.
So it's definitely, it's not wrong. It depends on how much stuff you have on there. So like, say you're doing like a big action film and everything, you actually do all your dialogue at -15, because when you bring in like car explosions and everything, you actually want to have about 6 decibels of headroom in a film for sure.
Okay.
Because you gotta give like all that room for explosions and gunshots and everything that are gonna go and hit
Music
that
and
zero.
all. Makes sense. Makes sense. It all compounds.
So and
I'm gonna have to talk with you before we do our next action.
yeah, and that's why like when you're sitting in a theater and everything like that, you'll hear everything so loud and big, because you're surrounded by speakers and everything like that. But in most cases, when it goes to like online, like YouTube or anything like that, once you have your overall soundscape, then you want to crank to the maximum, because at the end of the day, everything's like super compressed on your laptop and your phones. So you want to get very, very like strict on everything for like home theater experiences and stuff
and
like that.
if you have the time, you can always test out what it sounds like on other devices too, to like
absolutely,
to make sure
always.
it's
The
good.
car mix.
Yep. Always the car, on your iPhone, on your laptop, on your good speakers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. All right. So last big question, and to finish off is what do you guys got coming down the pipeline? What are some big things in the future? Like, who are you guys going to be working with? Like, tell people why they should be excited to not just check out Nerd Chronic, but check out all the other projects you guys are working on.
Luce, do you want to
Well, I mean, I think for the channel and everything, what we're working on is getting all our gear up and right, and I think the aspiration is for us to start doing more video content. In the future. We do have the space in our home to do it. We've actually, me and Eric have been trying to get a space for a while, and we almost had one last year. That kind of fell through though. But unless we go try and like get a full studio, we will at least be building something in home in our garage or something like that. And more for the online stuff.
Yeah, for the online stuff and the original content is what we kind of want to do for ourselves too. That's the ambition with that stuff. As far as like work that we're doing now, like I'm doing now, like we both work for the Schmodown, which is not on hiatus, but where it's shifting at the moment with everything that's going on. We have a few matches that we're have in the can to produce for the next month and a half. And then after that, we're shooting matches online through Skype, through things like this, through Zoom and StreamYards.
Nice.
And so similar to that, like I have a friend of mine who's living here with us for the time being. She's a Schmodown competitor, and she's from New York. And when all this stuff started happening, she was planning to come out here to stay with me for like a weekend or two for our big event. It's called the Free For All, which is like our big Royal Rumble event. It's like 40 competitors, last man standing type of thing of movie trivia. And she was supposed to compete in that. And she said, I don't know, with everything going on, this is like the first week of March. She's like, I don't know, with everything going on, like, is the free for all even going to happen? And like, do you think I'll be able to stay there? I was like, yeah. I was like, you know what? Why don't you just come out here like this next week, and you can stay here for a little while longer just to be safe, and that way you'll be here for the event. And lo and behold, like the world fell apart, and now she's kind of stuck here. And so she's living with us for the time being, and like we're hanging out. But she's like an amazingly ambitious person too. So she has like 4 channels, 4 shows that she's doing with different people, and we started our own trivia thing that we do every Monday and Wednesday. It's called Video Chronic Pop Culture Quiz. And so I just take like 20 deep cut trivia questions from like an individual movie. Like we just did Almost Famous last night. We're going to do The Matrix on Wednesday.
Yay!
And we just ask like deep cut, like, questions like what was the name of the company Neo worked at in The Matrix? And what was Neo's full name inside The Matrix? Things like that. Like, and it's a very fun show. I like doing it because I like writing questions, even though I'm the editor for the Schmodown. I like actually writing and doing the questions as well. Nice. And so intentionally, so the Schmodown is one thing that I work for, and then also you want to know the Real Rejects, Akasan, Fail Whale, you guys, Late to the Party, all our good friends who are working really hard right now to provide fun content for everyone. I would say check them out too, because they have had you and them have had a grasp on this much longer, and you guys are in full swing, I think, right now, trying to keep your heads above water and keep everyone else's heads above water, just from an entertainment standpoint, and just not go insane in their homes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Wait, I have one last question. When are you guys to come visit us? We need some hospitality back to you guys.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Like, hell
yeah, that's a much bigger question these days.
Yes.
I mean, I know Iman was planning to come out to you guys for NormieCon. That's so. I mean, I maybe I missed. Do you guys have like a plan for that yet, given what's going on?
So literally by the time we got 2 weeks left before May 1st, we're gonna figure out. I think it's gonna be 100 days away on May 1st, so we'll be able to like kind of suss out what's happening with the world. Yeah. We'll know. So I don't know, but you guys are literally always welcomed out. I know that we aren't LA, but I swear there's plenty of fun things to do. I can find you some good eat spots, bro. We will put you on, even if it's only for like a day. We'll be like, you come out for 2 days in the summer, I'll put you guys on a fucking boat. We'll do some shit.
Hey, I promise you guys come out here, bro. We'll show you a time. Trust me.
Yeah.
We know how to get things down here. I promise.
Yeah, that was part of it. I was planning to try to make it out for NormieCon when that's all happening. I just we gotta wait it out and see what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Bro, the world. Trust me, this sucks because there's a lot of people that I wanted to see at NormieCon. I'm like kind of hurting about it. See what's gonna happen. I hope it all works out. I'm praying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll try to make it there at some point. And then if you guys ever come out here again to LA, like for sure, we'll shoot you out.
Oh, we will.
Probably more make it out to you there before you guys make it out to us, but it'll happen more than anything.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do the outro. Sure. Here it is. It's happening. Here's the outro. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out and listening to this old podcast. I hope you were able to take away some awesome information and enjoying the talk with Nerd Chronic over here. Learning the importance of editing and how to get your sound right. Like, these are things that you're gonna need to know how to do on your YouTube journey, which is the reason why you're listening to this podcast, or maybe you just enjoy hearing the goofy stuff that we talk about. I don't know. I'm not you. But no, it's been a pleasure, guys. Next time we're out in LA, obviously we're gonna get up with you. That's not even a question. And it's just been real. So thanks. Check them out. Check out all the channels that they're working with. There'll be links down in the description. Bye.
Bye.
Later, y'all.
I see you.
Hey, that was great.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
I gotta stop this shit.
Yeah, absolutely, man.